Okay, today we're going to do a pretty cool and very simple paint overlay. Um, so we start out with this picture of this model, and you're going to go File. So you went to open new, open from computer is actually what it is. So we're going to open and place the other file. So you download these first, and then we come back and add these in. Okay, so we're going to put that in the corner. With most stuff, I would say we're going to want to make sure that we don't stretch it, but for something like the paint, it doesn't really matter. No one will ever see it. Okay, we're going to make sure we're on the paint layer and change this layer type to multiply. Okay, so that basically makes it somewhat transparent. All right, next step is we're going to go make sure we're on that same layer, and we're going to add a raster mask. Okay, you'll notice it popped up right next to it. Okay, make sure you have black in the foreground color, white in the background. Then you'll go to your brush, and we're going to zoom in and get rid of the paint on the eyes. Okay, and if you can't remember to make your brush bigger or smaller, it's the brackets, the one next to the P. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so it'll go easier. One thing I do recommend is I would take the hardness down to like 50% or even less, because we don't want to have a hard edge. It'll look weird. So I'm going to go in and erase. Really, I'm masking this part because I created the layer mask. Okay, there's one eye. Grab my little hand and move it over. And let's get this other eye. Now, the nice thing about doing this with a mask instead of the eraser tool is if you make a mistake and you don't catch it, you can always go back with the eraser tool and paint it back in. So if you're having a hard time with the mouse trying to get it all good, I would suggest making that 50% or so as well. So that way, when you put stuff back in, it doesn't look too harsh of an edge. Okay, so we got rid of the paint. Remember, you paint with black to get rid of that part, and you use the eraser to put it back. All right, so now we're going to zoom out a little bit, Control minus. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger because I'm going to get rid of the paint in the hair. And you might even change the hardness on this down even more. And then when you go in, you're painting the hair. Really what that's doing is it's hiding the paint in the hair. Okay, it gets a little tricky around the ears, so I might come back to that. Okay, we really don't want it to come out from the head. Okay, these little edges in here, we can always make the brush smaller. Come in and get that. Especially down here. Oh, that's part of the skin. Let's undo that. There's no need to work fast. But again, if you make the mistake with the brush, you can always come back and erase what you did with the eraser tool and put it back. Now, this is a pretty simple effect. It's super easy to do. Some of you may already have done stuff like this. I'm not sure what you guys have done prior to this. Oops, I'm using the brush. Okay, so I'm trying to get in close now, and then I can make the brush giant if I need to get rid of the outside stuff. I messed up a little bit along that edge, but that looks a little better. Oops, wrong tool. Need to be on the brush. Okay, let me come back in. One trick that I've learned is if there's a fairly straight edge, click once, hold down shift, move it, and then click again, and it'll fill in the rest. Okay, it's not perfect, obviously, but all right, let's get this stuff on the other side. Again, we're with the brush. I can fix that later. Main thing is we're trying to get the paint out of the hair. If I were feeling super ambitious, I would have done this as a time lapse, but I'm not gonna do that. Okay, so it looks like we got most of the close-up stuff. Let me go back in and fix this. Ah, too much. All right, close enough. Let's back out. Okay, so I've got this big stuff here. Let me just make my paintbrush huge, and I'll just get rid of all this. Be careful not to do what I just did and get parts that you want to keep. Of course, if you're not sure what you've got, turn off that and you can see, oh, okay, I missed some spots. Turn off the picture. That's kind of cool too, actually. But let's put the picture back in. Okay, looks pretty good. We can use the eraser and turn the hardness way down. Try and soften this edge if you want. It's a little tricky when you get up by the hair, but it seems like it helps. Only problem with Photopea is that you can't really move things around as easy as you can in Photoshop, and it's fine. You use the little hand and you're all good. Okay, let me put this back so it smooths it out. All right, I got it close enough. Let's back it on out. Looks kind of good. One of the things you might do is it's pretty vivid. You might play with the opacity and take it down to like 95. You can see it's just a slight change, maybe even as low as 90. But I think 95 looks better. Still looks fairly legit. Looks like actual paint. Okay, what you're going to do is you're going to do this one as a practice, and then you're going to do a different one. So basically you got two of them. They don't take very long. You know, it took me as long as it took for this video. If we want, we can crop the stupid text out of here. Or we could use the clone stamp to get rid of this thing up here if we wanted to. Or even we've got some other options. You can highlight it and we can fill with content aware. It should get rid of it. Oh, almost. It's too big. I have to do it a couple times. Yeah, your clone stamp is probably going to be better. Let's make this bigger. Hold down Alt and then stamp it. Hides it a little better. We probably did too much there. Yeah, it's not terrible. So yeah, ways to get rid of that stuff. All right, save it as a JPEG. If you've never used Photopea before, go to File, and you're going to export it as a JPEG. Now, it's a good idea, if you want to go back and fix this, to also save it as a PSD. Okay, so you want to save it as both files. That way you can open it up again later, preferably in Photoshop. But if not, this program has proven to be pretty good for free. So it does almost everything Photoshop does. And there you go. Turn in this JPEG and then turn in the second one that you do that can be whoever you want.